Hey, what is up? So for this video, I actually want to talk about a pretty interesting plot detail that I've seen a lot of people comment about on my videos. And this plot detail has to do with Tuco and Mike in the plot of Better Call Saul. So anyway, getting right into it, in season 2 of Better Call Saul, in the episode entitled Gloves Off, we see during the cold opening scene of this episode, which in hindsight is a flash forward to what happens after this episode. But anyway, following Mike returning home and us seeing the aftermath of him being punched in the face by Tuco Salamanca, we see Mike reach into his pocket here and pull out a necklace in the shape of boxing gloves that are diamond encrusted, which of course belonged to Tuco Salamanca. So it appears that following getting absolutely beaten up here by Tuco as part of his plot with Nacho Varga in this episode to get Tuco arrested, we see that Mike took from Tuco his boxing glove necklace as part of this brawl in this episode. Now, what makes this so interesting is that despite the fact that the last time we see this necklace so far through 5 entire seasons of Better Call Saul was in this cold opening scene, if we then flash forward to season 1 of Breaking Bad, 4 years in the future at least from where this scene took place in the plot of Better Call Saul, we see none other than Tuco Salamanca appearing to wear this exact same necklace that we last saw in the timeline of these two series in the possession of Mike Ehrmantraut. So a lot of fans have speculated, is there going to be a sort of interesting story displaying to us how Tuco got this necklace back from Mike Ehrmantraut? Now, before I break down the potential ways by which a story like this could be conveyed to us next season, I have to say that I knew about this plot detail in the plot of Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, but I have to say, I personally took the most boring approach when using artistic license to explain away this scene, and I always just assumed that Tuco maybe just bought another necklace that was exactly like the one that he had before he went to jail. But irrespective of that boring possibility, which of course is technically possible when all is said and done if this plot detail is never addressed to us next season, because of all the other plot details that of course have to be addressed to us involving the show's main characters prior to the conclusion of this series, I now want to go back and look at where we stand in the timeline and plot of Better Call Saul at the end of season 5 to sort of think of a way by which it could be theoretically possible that Tuco could get this necklace back from Mike. So that being said, we learned in the penultimate episode of season 5 of Better Call Saul that Tuco is going to get out of prison in 11 months, which as a side note, I did discuss in a previous video that I'll link in the description, how at this point it appears that this could be a contradiction in the timeline of Breaking Bad, and if Tuco does get out of jail in 11 months, he'll definitely have to go back to jail based on the canon of Breaking Bad, but that's a discussion for a different video. But anyway, with Tuco being in prison currently right now, and with the fact that Lalo Salamanca is currently out on bail, I find it very unlikely that we're going to have a scene of Lalo going to prison to visit Tuco when he himself just jumped bail and I would expect would be nowhere near a prison given his circumstances. So I really feel like it doesn't make too much sense that Lalo Salamanca would somehow give this necklace back to Tuco somehow, unless there is somehow a massive flash forward in the current timeline of Better Call Saul in that over 11 months pass in that Tuco can get out of jail, which again is another side note with just over 2 calendar years passing in 5 entire seasons of Better Call Saul, due to the fact that we're at least 4 years away from the start of Breaking Bad, if not further. It would be quite the change of pace in respect to this series if we span over 4 years in just 13 episodes when we've only gone about 2 years in the show's first 50 through 5 entire seasons. Additionally, we have to remember that according to the canon of Breaking Bad, where the Salamancas never find out in the plot of Breaking Bad that Mike Ehrmantraut works for Gus Fring.
You're Michael? The gringo Lalo had to bug up his ass about? If Hector or the cousins ever find out about it.
They're not gonna find out. Get on with it.
Following the events that transpired in season 2 of Better Call Saul. So with this being the case, any plot details surrounding Mike returning this necklace to Tuco would of course have to adhere to this strict canon in the plot of Breaking Bad as to not be a major contradiction in this timeline. In respect to the cousins maybe giving Tuco this necklace back, I guess that is also theoretically possible, and there's really no real canon that needs to be adhered to in respect to a plot of this nature outside of the cousins never figuring out that Mike works for Gus Fring. And it definitely should be noted that the cousins were going to be the ones that were going to smuggle Tuco back down to Mexico in the plot of the episode entitled Grilled in Season 2.
My cousins are driving up here right now to smuggle us back down, and they're gonna be here by sunset, and you're gonna be on that truck, or you're gonna be dead!
So it's definitely known that Tuco and the cousins converse. So I guess it is theoretically possible that somehow the cousins could give Tuco this necklace back as well. But again, it would have to involve them somehow getting it from Mike Ehrmantraut in the first place, which again seems kind of difficult based on the canon of Breaking Bad. That being said, I suppose it's also possible that maybe somehow Mike gives this necklace to Gus Fring, who then visits Hector Salamanca at Casa Tranquila, perhaps. Again, I'm not too sure of the likelihood of this, but I guess it also is theoretically possible. That being said, as a yet another side note here, in respect to the aforementioned episode Grilled, it also should be pointed out that the very first time we saw Hector Salamanca in the plot of Breaking Bad, he was living in that house in the country and not living at Casa Tranquila. And it, of course, wasn't until after Tuco's death that we see him move to Casa Tranquila. So theoretically speaking, I guess it is also possible that we will see this plot detail displayed to us next season surrounding how Hector ended up in this house. And if we go back to the last time Lalo saw Hector in season 5 of Better Call Saul in the episode entitled Bad Choice Road, and we see that look that Lalo gives Hector, almost a look of pity in respect to seeing his uncle living there. So maybe Lalo was the one who got the wheels turning to get Hector out of Casa Tranquila and have him live in that house in the country. But at the same time, it should be noted that it also seemed that Tuco was the one who brought Hector out to that house as well.
Tell you, Heisenberg, old people, you feed them, huh? You put them in a really nice crib in the country, and yet they gotta steal the food off your plate.
Again, a pretty open-ended plot detail, so it's pretty futile in speculating on the specific theoretical aspects of the storyline, but still a very interesting storyline that could be displayed to us next season. So yeah, like I said, we could definitely sit here and speculate all day long surrounding a theoretical plot involving Tuco getting this necklace back from Mike. But at the end of the day, it's pretty open-ended here, minus the fact of the Salamancas never figuring out that Mike works for Gus, and the fact that Lalo is currently out on bail, and I don't think he's going to visit a prison right now given that circumstance. But other than that, it's pretty open-ended here. But like I said, on top of this, it could just be the case that Tuco buys another exact replica of this necklace. So yeah, that's all I really got for you guys on this one. Definitely something I noticed in the plot of Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, but I never really paid too much attention to it. I always assumed Tuco bought another necklace. That being said, I'm sure if this plot is displayed to us next season, I'm sure it will be done very well and very creatively in a way that will, of course, adhere to the canon of Breaking Bad, but also at the same time, like I've said in a lot of my previous videos, there are so many open-ended plot details, so much story to tell in so little time of 13 episodes. I imagine the creators will be very calculated with the time that they have on screen, which is so limited by the fact that this is the last season of Better Call Saul. So yeah, kind of curious to see what you guys think surrounding this storyline next season. Definitely let me know what you think in the comment section. And as always, my name is Anton Jackson. Thank you again so much for watching this video.